Get ready, get ready, get ready. It's Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cusel, the third hour of the show, and I'm here with my co-host, Diva J. Welcome back. And Diva J could very well be muted. We are working with our two guests. It's St. Patty's Day, but it also seems to be one of those days where technical issues are beginning to there she is. Okay, so just so that you know, you can see her. And if you're looking at that beautiful glow on my co-host today, as she told us, look at her smiling. She can hear me. It's because she is with child, and that's just amazing for the Smith family of three will soon be the Smith family of four. So congratulations to her. She's working
Thank
behind
you.
the scenes, and our team is working behind the scenes trying to navigate some of this technology to get both of our hosts. But let's take this opportunity. It's St. Patty's Day, so happy St. Patrick's Day to those of you who are really getting into your Irish heritage. It's also National Women's History Month. And two of the guests that we are working with are true legends when it comes to women, and even more so when it comes to Black women. They both together compiled a list of so many first Blacks or first female to do this or that in their collegiate and professional career. And that's very noteworthy. And it's why we selected the both of them to be able to come and join us on the show today. So what we're going to do is take this opportunity to share with you what we happen to know about them. And I'm going to start in telling you about Ms. Geraldine Williams, who happens to be a board certified attorney. And I'll begin there, and Diva J will come back and talk to you about our second guest, and hopefully between that, we'll be able to bring them here live on the show. Now, most of you in the Tampa Bay area, really, you are no stranger to Mrs. Geraldine Williams. She's a Floridian. You will know her from her community involvement, but let's back it up a little bit. When she comes on, she'll tell us a lot about her personal life growing up, how she decided to go to the institutions that she decided to study at. But let me go ahead and tell you this brilliant mind is a journalist, and that's how she started her professional career. She is also, as I stated earlier, she's a certified board attorney. She has been involved with so many different things, but let's just start with her undergraduate. She received her BS, and as a result of that, it wasn't just making an application to enter a higher level learning institution. She is one of 14 African Americans that were accepted in the University of Florida's institution. And that's a lot, because when you talk about barriers and breaking down barriers, and you heard us just a couple of weeks ago, Diva J, we were talking about Dr. Ingram, Shamara Ingram, being the first Black and first Black female to graduate from the STEM program. And here we are talking about Mrs. Geraldine Williams, and there she was, one of 14 to be enrolled into the University of Florida. But that didn't stop. So she goes there, she studies journalism, and while she was there, she became very, very active. She used her voice, she used her writing skills so that she would be heard and she had something to say. She would go on from there and receive her MBA from Clark Atlanta University, and then her doctorate of juris. And she went back home to the state of Florida, and attended Florida State University College of Law. Super, super active in all types of organizations, whether it's writing, journalism, into law. If there's an organization that ties into what she participates with or what she is passionate about and what she believes in, she's a part of it. Let me just tell you about some of the things that she won. The first Black in journalism. She won the Hearst National Award in 1967. She was the first Black in the country, a UF alumni of distinction. She won that award in 1988, the Centennial Alumni Recognition in 2000, and then again as a UF integrator in 2010. She was honored by the Hearst Foundation, and as a result of that, she received that award in New York in 2010. First Black undergraduate inducted into the UF Grand Guard Society in 2017. I told you from the offset that you're going to hear about a lot of first Blacks. But she would just go on to do so much in her professional career, and that's working from just a number of those organizations. And that's why she was recognized in doing so much. Some of you may remember when she wrote for the Florida Sentinel. Yes, she did. And so while she was at all of her institutions, she became involved in journalism and participated. But we'll let them tell you some of that when they're back on the air. Diva J, and Diva J is also pulling double duty. And let's see if she, I think she's still working with our host, trying to get them through some of this technology.
I
Diva
am
J,
still
there
doing.
she is.
Hi, how
So
are you?
I've shared with our radio listening audience. I mean, and Mrs. Williams has done a lot for us, and we get the opportunity to say to her, thank you for what you've done to the community. Thank you for the doors, the barriers that you were challenged with, so that individuals like myself and Diva J can go on to attend the institutions of our choice. And so, Diva J, you have the pleasure of introducing our second guest.
Okay. Yes, and I'm still actually on the line with our guests, trying to get her in and on. But in the meantime, while we are waiting for her to connect, I love to read the bio of Miss Yvonne McShay. So she's a professor, but let's start here. She's an educator, author, a library advocate, domestic and international traveler who seeks to be the change she wishes to see. And so she attended Edward Waters College in Jacksonville, Florida, and Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. She was a Professor McShay is the author of 3 books, A Rainbow, Our Lakeland, The Other End of Florida Avenue, and prepositional Are You a Prepositional Phrase? So all of which she intentionally taps into the gentleness of the reader's soul. So she shares the historical facts that Our Lakeland is the first published book about African Americans in Northwest Lakeland. I think that's very unique. We rarely hear about
It
that.
is.
Yeah, and during the pandemic, she actually published her 4th book called My Mama Said. So she loves to serve her community. She's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Omicron Kappa Omega chapter. She's also part of Delta Kappa Gamma Society International. And in 2018, she was inducted into their State Hall of Fame. So she's a member of the Delta Beta chapter. She's also a part of St. Mark United Methodist Church, where she served in various positions. And for the last 3 years, she served on the advisory board for the newly constructed History and Culture Center, which is attached yet our Lakeland. So she is certainly a phenomenal woman. I'm honored to be on the phone with her right now, and we're going to try to do our best to get her on here so that our viewers can see and hear from Miss or Professor McShay.
Thank you, Diva J. And we're going to allow you to go ahead and do that. We are fortunate enough to also have on the line today the board president of BWBOEE, and that's Black Women Business Owners, Executives, and Entrepreneurs. Ingrid, can you unmute for us and tell us about what's happening with BWBOEE?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. For some reason, I'm unable to get my video. Oh, you've disabled it. Okay. I see. Okay. I got you. So thank you.
There you are.
Thank you so much. Well, hello to everyone. And thank you, Cheryl, for this opportunity to come on. BWBOEE, acronym for Black Women Business Owners, Executives, and Entrepreneurs. And our organization is a professional women's organization, and we are basically designed, our mission, as we say, is to promote, empower, and connect women in business. And we've been able to do that for a number of years, I believe since 1994. The organization was in existence well before I came along. And so I'm just glad to be a part of it. But we host networking events. And of course, that's all a little different now for everybody.
Yes.
We always host the annual Women's History Month event because, of course, as a women's organization, we certainly want to celebrate, take whatever opportunities we have to celebrate women in business. And also we have training and informational workshops. And so that's all our effort to promote women in business and everyone. We have many followers, many supporters who are men as well, we have a diverse group as well. So it's not just Black women, but that is the name, Black Women Business Owners. And so we are ready to host another Women's History Month event at the end of the month. And so we are glad to be able to do that still through Zoom, still able to connect, not the same way, but still able to connect. So we're glad to be able to do that.
Well, Ingrid, you're going to come on, and so I'm glad that the pandemic has not stopped the work of BWBOEE, because actually we did our first event still in August, and we managed to navigate that when we did the workshop through the pandemic. The pandemic was about 5 months old. And it's great to know that as the president of BWBOEE, that you have been able to garner the support of the board, as well as making sure that our message is heard, and women who are needing help, entrepreneurs who are needing help, they can still reach out to us. So tell us a little bit about what we can expect in the event that you all are planning at the end of this month. Actually,
at the end of this month,
which is right around the corner.
It absolutely is. The 26th of March at 10:30 a.m. We are again looking to have our first Women's History Month event via a virtual platform. And what we are looking to do is we have two phenomenal speakers that are going to come and just share some of their experiences in business and in life. And as you've already spoken of, Miss Williams, our Attorney Williams, she will be a speaker who has so much to share, so many firsts, as you said, and it's always great to have to remember those foundations that have helped us. So we are looking so forward to hearing her experiences. And also another fantastic young woman is State Representative Fentress Driscoll. Yes. And right now the House is in session, so State Representative Driscoll may not be able to be there live, but she is certainly looking forward to sending a message that will help empower everyone who has an opportunity to listen. So we're looking to be able to network with each other a little bit and to hear what these women have to say. And also we have a little special guest appearance by way of entertainment. And that is we have someone who is going to just dedicate a great song, if you will, to the women. And that will be our guest appearance is R&B recording artist, DeAndre Brackensick. Some of you may remember him from American Idol. Yes. One of the seasons of American Idol. So DeAndre is excited. He's excited to be a part, and he has always been a part of BWBOEE actually for a number of years. So he's excited to be able to share something with us.
Well, that just makes him an honorary, and so that our audience will know, even though the organization is Black women, we do have males that come in
Absolutely.
and support us. And so he is one of our honorary
Hmm.
male supporters and has been,
Hmm.
as you alluded to, for a number of years. And so,
Yes.
Ingrid, I must ask, it sounds
Hmm.
like we've got two of the best. So, if for some reason we do not get to bring on Ms. Geraldine Williams, attorney at law,
Hmm.
she will be, and this is why we need you to go online. Ingrid will give you that information and purchase your ticket for
Absolutely.
two reasons. One, you'll be supporting a phenomenal organization. And two, you will get to hear from two of the best.
Yes.
And both of them, Florida girls, born and raised here, educated here, and have come back to support their community.
Hmm.
How can I get
Yes.
tickets, Ingrid? And don't just take one, get one ticket. Bring a
Yeah.
friend.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you can get tickets at, you can go to our website at www.bwboee.org, bwboee.org. And there's a link under the events section that will take you to the Eventbrite for registration. And also, you can check out our Facebook page. And I believe there's a link there as well to be able to go to. And our Facebook page is Black Women Business Owners. By the time you put in Black Women Business Owners, it'll come up. Because I know it's long, but it'll come up. And so registration is only $25 for a regular registration. We also have a second registration, which is $99, but that is registration and a 1-year membership into the organization. And then our third registration level is $199, but it is a registration, a membership for a year, and then one complimentary professional service. And we have some great services that are available by industry professionals. Ms. Rolanda McDuffie, CPA, Dr.
Yes.
Nicole King Smith of NK Enterprise Consulting, Ms. Cheryl Cousseau of DSI Black Pages, Ms. Justine Anderson of Echelon Computers, and Ms. Clestine Herbert of Divine Discipline. And so they have some great offers that are just much more value than you're going to get for $199. But those are available if you choose that level, and you would be able to pick one of those services, whichever best suits you. So come on and register, bwboee.org.
That's phenomenal. So you're getting two things for your admittance and or registration. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, we need you to come and support BWBOEE. Ingrid, what's the cost for just the ticket if they want to come and hear these amazing women?
$25. That is it.
$25. So we're
Yes,
asking
ma'am.
you to come and bring a friend. And what's the deadline for them to register?
I need to look at that deadline, but I believe it's the day before
Okay.
the 25th, because again, it starts at 10:30 a.m. on the 26th. So at least till midnight on the 25th.
Well, Ingrid, thank you so much. We have the post here on the screen, and we will also share it with our thank you post. I can see now that we have Miss Williams here. And before we even, ladies, everybody, make sure your phones are unmuted. Let me take this opportunity. If you need support with your business brand, if you need support in navigating around these virtual hybrid meetings and events, we have the best person in the house. Listen, people, you always have to have some young techies, no matter what organization or group you are a part of. And I'm so happy to have a goddaughter by the name of Mrs. Jeanette Diva J. Horst Smith, who has helped us to bring our two legends on this Zoom. Diva J, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And working behind the scenes is my ads mid, Ricky, and he will not come on and say a thing to you all. So let's jump right in to these two powerhouses. Welcome to the show, Miss Williams.
Hello. Good to be here.
Listen, we have shared with our radio listening audience what you would just say, all that stuff I had to go through to get to where I am today. All you really need to do is look at that wall behind her. First off, I love that color blue. I wonder where that comes from.
Oh.
So let me take this opportunity, and both of them are just beautiful, just beautiful. We call them our Nubian queens. Miss Williams, we talked a lot about you and your first, but walk us while we have you here to what that experience was like, or how did you become one of 14 to be enrolled, accepted into Florida State, excuse me, University of Florida.
But Florida State came later.
Well, you did go to both institutions.
Let me say, I want to thank you for acknowledging the fact that I exist and that I did make some kind of contribution early on, then later, and even now.
Yes.
I was part of the movement back in the 1960s. I was told by my father, Judge Williams, that I could not protest, I could not demonstrate, I could not do sit downs, I couldn't do any of those things because the police weren't being very kind to those protesters. And he felt like he needed to protect me and he'd get in trouble. So he said, no, you're a smart girl, find another way to make a contribution. I was distraught. My father had never told me no. And so my alternative was to help with the NAACP, and I have a picture of me in the Tampa Tribune back in the 1960s as a young teenager, helping to open the first office of the NAACP in Hillsborough County.
My goodness.
So that was one thing I was going to do. The next thing I was going to do is, since my schoolmates and my classmates were out marching and demonstrating and protesting and forcing the opening of doors, my role, and I'm young now, 14, 15, 16 years old, I said, since daddy won't let me do that, I can walk in the doors that they open, that they force open. Because we had to be qualified. I figured that I was clever. I was the top student along with one other. There were two top students, Noval and Sal, two top students. We were both very, very competitive. But I was able to take the precursor to the ACT and SAT. It was called the Florida 12th grade placement test.
Okay.
The first time they allowed Black students to take the test was in 1962. And I graduated in 1963. So my class also took the test. And I was blessed to be one of 3 people to pass out of 222 students.
Phenomenal.
And I saw that as my signal from my deity, that that was the role that I would play. I would use that as my entree and as my contribution, my entree into the doors and my contribution to the movement. And it has certainly come down through the ages as being recorded as my significant contribution, because my daddy said I wasn't going the other way. I had to go this way. So that's how I was one of the first 14. There were 7 who were admitted in 1962, and I was among 7 who were admitted in 1963. And I integrated the College of Journalism and Communications.
Oh my goodness, you say a contribution. That's huge. And I get to say this because 3 of our children also attended the University of Florida. So I know what it was for them to go through it. And from your shoulders and those in the other 13, you all made it possible for so many others to do just that, walk through the door. And I love the fact—
I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for that acknowledgement. But I also want to say thank you to my schoolmates and my classmates, because I stood on their shoulders. Those white people
Absolutely.
weren't sitting there waiting to open those doors. Those students got out there and protested and said, you will, you must, you shall. And because they set the stage, I was able to stand on their shoulders and
Yes.
walk in.
You know what I like about having this conversation, and Diva J, we wanted the both of you to feel like you were sitting at your dining room table. Everybody, let's see, Yvonne could very well, she has this beautiful library that's right off of an amazing balcony. And she could probably be in her library. We can see that you are in your home office, and we could see all of the accolades pinned back there on your wall. But here's what I thought about, and Ingrid, you will appreciate this. At our last Women's History event, we were at the Columbia restaurant, which was kind of like our go-to place. And we had State Representative Arthena Joyner. Now I'm listening to you talk about your father giving you instructions of what you could not do, but telling you you're smart enough to think of another way to open those doors and walk through those doors. And what was interesting was her father also challenged her. He didn't tell her what she couldn't do, but she turned around and decided to be a part of the protest and actually got arrested on the campus. And I love the fact that you all had a village supporting you. And she could make that phone call to her father, and they can make another phone call and get all of those students released. But they did that so that we could have the life that we're having today. And I don't consider that a small feat at all, or
Not
a
at
small
all. Not
contribution,
at all.
because tens of thousands have now been able to graduate from your institutions, and that's a legacy.
It is.
That's
It
a
is.
legacy. And I got to hear from Diva J. She's an HBCU graduate, and you've got these two legends here. Now, Diva, I know it warms your heart and that heart of that little baby. So what say you, Diva?
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you all. Each of you to me are great women. And so I'm happy that we have both Ms. Williams, Ingrid, Professor McShay, Cheryl all on the call. And Ms. Williams, I was a journalism major at Howard University.
Okay.
And so to know that you integrated the communication schools at UF, I don't even know what to say. Thank you. You know, so many times, and I think I'm in my 30s, and you don't really know what shoulders you stand on. So I stand on your shoulders
Wow.
unknowingly. And so I can certainly appreciate that. And a question that I had, because even though times have changed, I find that we are now going, a lot of my peers, we're in this social justice movement. We're in this, you know, we're bearing kids, we're starting our families, and we still see a lot of the change that's needed. And not that I have a dad that says you can't go protest, but I have other responsibilities like a 3-year-old, and I'm pregnant now, and I just have things that prevents me from going in the streets and doing what I really want to do. And so I'm even finding myself being creative in today's time about how can I contribute to the movement. And so one thing I always wanted to know from someone like yourself was, how did you feel? What was that feeling you had? Were you scared when you walked on campus for the first time? Did you feel empowered? Just, you know, can you take us there emotionally? That's just always been something that I've oftentimes wondered, because it's a lot different now, but I find myself even having some anxieties and things of that sort. So can you recall kind of what your feeling was when you knew that you were making an impact?
Well,
My
Diva J,
pleasure.
1 second. And before you speak, Ms. Williams, we got to pay some bills. So let's go ahead and take our commercial break, and we will come back and you can answer that question. And then we're going to hear about, we just have all journalism on the show, journalists on the show today. And then we will hear from Miss Yvonne McShay. So back in 2 minutes.
The Stones are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was
the
fine.
most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
All you sports fans, tune in every Monday morning to listen to Mic'd Up Mondays with Michael Clayton. You don't want to miss this.
On In Touch Radio.
And we are back. That was a quick 2 minutes, and so we have a lot to go through, and we're going to go back. But before, listen to our radio listening audience, because what you're hearing from these phenomenal women, please, if you're on Facebook, like and share our pages. We have tagged both of these powerhouses in our posts, and we will share our thank you posts and make sure that those who have written books, go out and purchase their books. Those who have books coming around on the horizon, find out when those books are going to be published, and then go and purchase them. That's how we can vote. Vote with your green bucks. Diva J?
Yes, so I wanted to give Ms. Williams an opportunity to respond to my question. Just so our viewers know, I basically asked, as a first, as a pioneer, as a trailblazer in your own right, kind of what was that emotional feeling you had when you were taking risks, when you were doing things that you know would make a difference, but would also be fairly risky?
Let me say that I came from an era where we ate at home, we sat at the table, we had times for especially dinner because parents were out working, we were in school, but we sat for dinner and breakfast. So we weren't at the dining room table, we were at the kitchen table. It was a Formica kitchen table. And mama was to the left, daddy was to the right. And as a very young child, I always wanted to be the one who could hold up my hand and go up to the board and answer the questions and do the demonstration. She would teach me how to answer the questions that we would project would be asked. And she would teach me by writing so that I could do it on the board. He would teach me by thinking. So my parents were always with me all the way through. So when I got ready to go finally to the University of Florida, only because it was the only accredited, the closest accredited school. It was not a college until the year I graduated, the School of Journalism and Communications. And it was accredited. My mother said that I had to attend an accredited school or college for whatever discipline I would study. And so that was it. Then I had to get permission from daddy to go because it was all white. And she didn't know quite how that was going to work. And let me give you the lay of the land quickly. This is in the early 1960s, and they were integrating University of Mississippi. 2 people were killed there in 1963 during the throes of getting it integrated. Move on up to Alabama. The governor stood in the schoolhouse door and said, even with federal accompaniment, the nigger children would not come in. Okay, move on over to Georgia. We had the axe handles, and we had the student who transferred into University of Georgia, Black female, and to finish her journalism studies. And she was in the dormitory, and word got out that she was there. And so a group of riotous students were coming over to get her out. And the federal representatives had to come in and escort her out to safety. Gone over to Jacksonville, where they had a rite of passage of beating up and whipping up on Black folks, bloody, teeth knocked out and everything. No one was arrested. Go on down to St. Augustine. where they brought in Black kids to integrate the swimming pools. And when they notified the owner of the inn over in St. Augustine that the Black kids were in the swimming pool, he came and poured acid in the pool while the kids were swimming. Now, and this is all around Gainesville, Florida. Not exactly the mecca of democratic rule. We're talking about a 2,000-acre campus. And at that time, there were about 24,000 students. But again, just as my parents had been with me at the table to prepare me all the way through, they went with me to the University of Florida. I was not alone. We went as a family for the, I guess they call it the freshman orientation.
Yes.
We were the only Black family that was there. And my father was an uneducated man from just across the Georgia-Florida line and in South Georgia. And so, you know, this was new for him. And then my mom did graduate high school, but they were the only Black parents who were there. My father wanted to go to establish the fact that I had support. Now, he wanted to let them know, now you can bother whomever else you want to. Again, just like he was protecting me in Tampa, he was protecting me in Gainesville. And so I learned a lot. And I saw the dormitory to which I had been assigned, Rawlings, Rollins Hall, beautiful Rollins Hall. And I stayed in the dormitory with the girls. They were with the parents. And I was introduced to Jewish students. The Anglo students were less likely to come forward and extend an appearance of friendship. And I had never been around that many white people in my whole life because I was brought up from preschool all the way through high school, all Black. Middleton at that time was all Black, all Black. So then we walk onto this campus with thousands of white people on 2,000 acres. Well, it was not a very welcoming experience, but I felt comfortable because my mother and my father were with me and they were sending out a message and they were sending in a message to me that we are with you. So I did not feel a great degree of discomfort. After I went back to actually be enrolled, to tell you the truth, the 4 years that I was there from 63 to 67, I seldom saw another Black student because there were so many students and so few of us. We were like a pebble in the ocean. And so it was an extraordinary experience. We worked hard, some of us, at seeing each other over in the colored section of town. See, we were coloreds back then because remember, the signs at the water fountains and on the toilet doors said white only or what? Colored. It didn't say Black. It didn't say Negro. Colored. So at that time, we were colored. And there was a colored section of town, Fifth Avenue. And we could go on Fifth Avenue and go to Sarah's. We could eat, fried fish. We could have chicken. And that was about the only place off campus that I chose to go because I felt some degree of safety on campus. Now, the only degree of unsafety that I had some concerns about on campus, and a couple of others did too, is that they had we're the Gators, right? So they had an alligator in a pond on campus. I found out where that pond was, and we decided that we were not going by that pond because let me tell you, everybody is not receptive. And you got students who get drunk, and right across the street from that pond was the fraternity house of the Kappa Alphas. And they don't like Black people, didn't like Black people then. They don't like Black people now. And ain't no shame to their game, okay? And for us, it could have meant that any one of us could have been held out as bait for Albert the alligator. And so to avoid a problem, we went other ways. But let me tell you about the bait. I think it was last year, maybe 2019, might have been 2019, that the president of the university said, we will not do that gator bait chant anymore because he's not from the South. I think he's from Michigan, but he's not from the South. And he was told about the real gator bait, where the white men would take newborn babies, younger children of mothers who had to go back in the muck and work after their birth, and take them and string them out, hang them over the ponds where the gators were as real live shown. You can see this if you Google it on hand fans. You can see it on postcards. They were gator bait. And I saw the president about 3 weeks ago at the memorial service for the first African-American who graduated, African-American male who graduated undergraduate school there. He came to the memorial service and he stayed. When he came down the aisle, I situated myself so that I could be right there to go walk right with him. And I put my card in his hand because he knows who I am. I wanted to let him know, I thank you for what I see you do. When he comes to events for African Americans, I don't know about the Cuban Americans, I don't know about the Asian, I'm just saying the African Americans, he comes and he stays. And that's what he did here. So there are some challenges on campus. We don't have as many Black students as we should have, not at all. And I am working with them in that regard. I contacted the incoming vice president who was coming in for minority affairs. And I let him know what my role has been at the university. I let him know of my interest in ensuring that things got better. And the man came down to Plant City and spent a day with me. Wow. So you see, I'm not that passive. I'm going to find a way to be involved, and I'm not going to complain until you don't do what I ask you to do, because I figure, what do I have to lose? And so I go there for the meetings. Now I can do it by Zoom, thank you, Lord. The last time I went, I drove up, I was off on my date and off on my time, so I was behind. So I had to make it up, I thought, on the highway. And from Plant City to Gainesville, I was traveling maybe just a little bit beyond the rate of speed I should be. And I looked to the side, and there was the Florida Highway Patrol. But I'm smart enough. I told you I was clever. I'm smart enough to have my gator tag on that says lifetime member, okay? And he looks over, he sees this old Black woman, and she is flying north with this gator tag on. Do you know what he did? He just said, he made me calm down. I said, oh God, he didn't tell me to move over, but he got in front of me.
Yes.
And escorted me to the exit for Gainesville. And I said, thank you, Lord. So there you go.
Oh my goodness. Well, Diva J, she answered your question, but listen, ladies, I just want you to know you have so much to share with us. We could not do it in 20 or 30 minutes. And so we're going to open our show up for a part 2, because there is no way we can hear what you all have to say to us since we lost some of our time. I'm going to have you look at your schedules, because I want to make sure that Yvonne gets to come on and she gets to talk extensively about not 1, 2, 3, but 4 books that she's written. So we're going to segue so that we can hear from you. Diva J did your introduction while she was also navigating to help you get on, but we will talk after the show. But I want you to check your calendars and see where you're going to be 2 weeks from today, because we would love to do a part 2. There's so much more we have to hear from the both of you, because Ms. Williams you're explaining something to me that I didn't even know what was going on at the University of Florida.
Oh, Lord.
Knowledge is power, but until it's applied knowledge, that's when it becomes to be powerful. So we're going to segue so we can hear from the next legend that we have joining us. Again, Diva J went over her bio, so you now know we have these two powerhouses, AKAs. They both went to phenomenal universities, a combination of HBCU and the majority university. You all are at the top of your game, writers. And so you've got published writings for our young kids, and those who are not so young can go and learn information that they were not even privy to. Ms. Yvonne McShane,
Wow.
walk us through your experiences.
Oh, wow. It is such a joy to be here. Indeed, it is a pleasure. And I am so lucky to be with you and Diva, my new best friend. I love you. Oh, thank you so much for inviting me here on this 17th day of March, Women History Month.
Yes.
And St. Patrick's Day. And you know what they say about St. Patrick's Day, that it's about beginner's luck. Although I've been on Zoom many times before, but I tell you with Diva today, it was beginner's luck. Thank you so much, Diva.
You're welcome.
But
listen,
Miss McShane, I'm just going to answer a question. I wanted to make sure that Diva heard me, and you will get right back into that. So please forgive me. But my conversation with you was you wanted a brand strategist. You're putting your books out. I just want you to know that your luck of the draw, if you will, your pot over the rainbow, she's right there. The brand strategist is Diva J.
I will be calling.
The Lord sent her to you via Let's Talk Business.
Thank you, Lord.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I look forward to it.
Okay, and your patience. Oh, wow, you are phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Well, Geraldine, I remember many of those days that you talked about. It's kind of interesting when we think about our families. One of the things my father told me that I will remember, and I've shared with so many people, is everything you need to know is in a book. Well, you know, when I grew up, I'm old school. We didn't have computers. We didn't have telephones. We didn't have any of this stuff that young people have today, or we have today. So that meant I was always reading, and I had 4 sisters and brothers, 7 of us really, and we all read. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, which is the 5th largest city in the United States. I think when I was growing up, it was maybe number 1 in land area. And like Sherry said, I am a HBC graduate. I went to high school in Jacksonville, Florida, finished from the famous New Stanton High School, class of 62, and attended Edward Waters College in Jacksonville. As you know, Edward Waters was the first independent institution in Florida. And it is, of course, with that being said, the oldest HBC in Florida as well. When I graduated in college, I participated in a lot of activities. That's the advantage of going to a HBCU, because the leadership is there, and students are encouraged to participate in leadership. It wasn't a struggle to do it. Like, I have 2 daughters, and they went through different struggles in terms of leadership, although they are phenomenal women. But the role of the HBCU is just so different. So after graduating from Edward Waters, I attended, Edward Waters at the time was not accredited, and I attended Florida State University. Well, I encountered just a few problems at Florida State, and I kind of felt like they didn't want us there in '67, although many had gone before us. And there were 4 of us one evening got together and had pizza and beer, and we started talking. Come to find out, we were all experiencing the same thing. So we met with deans and the president of the college, these little 4 young people. There was one in guidance. I was in English. There was a music major. And there was a guy who came in early. The coach brought him in early to get him ready for to play basketball. So it was the 4 of us who met with the administrators. And I was telling my nephew about it one day, and he said, Auntie, believe it or not, what you all did is the reason I'm at Florida State today. He said, because the CARE program just celebrated 50 years. And you all were probably that voice that created that CARE program. Sometimes we work, Diva, and we don't know what the results will be. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. We're just on the journey to do better for ourselves, and we think about how can this help someone else, you know? So because of our voices, the CARE program is at Florida State today. And maybe 3 years later, I attended Indiana University, which was a school, great journalism school, and it was well integrated, and they were really good to us in the graduate program. I think that's when I learned to really enjoy school when I went to graduate school. Many of my instructors had told me, Mangrum, you're smarter than that. Mangrum, you're so smart. Why don't you do better? Well, I didn't think I was smart until I got to graduate school. And that's when I blossomed. And that was a great experience. I get great joy from people. And I try to live to be the change that I want to see. So, and I raised my daughters like that. But, you know, I think about Congressman John Lewis, and he said, you know, get in good trouble. So that's what I've been doing all my life, I would say, you know, just getting in good trouble, but seeing that change. And that's a wonderful role for a woman to bring about change. So I thank you all so much for inviting me today. All of our stories are different, but they will enlighten someone in some way, I'm sure. Is that good enough?
Oh, it's great. Great. I did just to kind of, and it's that era to hear the similarities between the two of you. We're going to continue our conversation. The In Touch News Radio, we have about seven more minutes, and then we're going to hear a little more as just before we close the show. But you both have talked to us about your beginnings and your higher level education and the struggles that you've gone through. So we want to hear how you both decided to pursue the careers that you either started in or how you got in today. And so we'll ask that question to you first, Miss Williams. And it seems like you guys were just at the top of your game when you were in grammar school.
Okay, let me let you know that I chose to attend an historically Black university by going to Atlanta University to earn my MBA.
Yes.
That was by choice because Mr. and Mrs. James Hardwick sent Jimmy there. And I said, if it's good enough for Jimmy, it's good enough for me. They were like my educated mother and father. And then I went on to Florida State University and earned my JD, and I still practice law. My daughter is also, she's a pharmacist and a lawyer. And so we both graduated Florida State College of Law. And I want to say to Yvonne that 2 of my family, I and my first cousin, integrated University of Florida. And 2 of my cousins integrated Florida State University. That's Fred Flowers and Dobby Flowers. Dobby was the first Black, I think they call them princess over there. And so that's part of the book that I am putting together, which happens now to be autobiographical, because I'm going back in history, all the way back. And my goal is to go all the way back to my original mother in Africa.
Wow.
It started out being Mandela and me, because I went down to the man's house and took over his house and had him celebrate Christmas in a big way for his second Christmas as president of the country. But I want to say that I did that, went in, got my law degree, had my practice, and I am now practicing from home. But I always, everywhere I go, I write. And so I had 3 back surgeries, couldn't do a thing. I said, what can I do while I'm
Right.
sitting here rehabilitating? I can write. So I started a decade ago putting this together, and it is a lesson for African American genealogical researchers. It is tough because they didn't keep our records quite as closely as they kept the Anglo records. And so even the spelling of the one who purchased my original mother, the spelling of his name has it changed, and I had to do all of that research. But I prayed all the way through, and I said, I'm stuck in the mud. Bring me out, help me out, and he has. I have come a long way. I finished the manuscript, have to close in some, but the little white women up in Madison County, Florida, who do the genealogical research on the plantations, have been very, very helpful to me. And I've been able to make those connections, get those understandings, and have the comprehension necessary to get my manuscript complete.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I don't
what
even have to ask
history.
the question, which was going to be, Miss Williams, when are you going to do your memoir? And now we
What
know.
history. That's fantastic. That's
Diva J,
fantastic.
she doesn't know that you are an event coordinator extraordinaire. And I told her her next event that she's planning, I will certainly be there. I will be serving. But listen, Diva J, it sounds like we've got quite a book signing tour getting ready to happen with these legends.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is phenomenal. I'm excited.
Well, if it's okay, I'd like to tell you about my next book.
Yes.
It's a book of nuggets, sayings, phrases, scriptures that mothers said to their daughters or children as they were growing up. And so the title of the book is My Mama Said, without the backstory, but the lesson that comes from it. And I guess there are about 100 lessons or sayings or phrases. And I'm hoping that everyone can relate to them and bring about a little nostalgia, and they enjoy it and read it and have fun with their families. One saying per page, My Mama Said. So I'm hoping to have that out and launch before Mother's Day.
Oh, nice.
Well, you make sure you let us know, because we are here to support and help you in any way. And because that's important. As I was listening to Ms. Williams talk about what was going on in Gainesville, I was reminded of my late uncle, who was city commissioner, worked as city manager, former mayor of Gainesville the year they won the championship. Well, one of the things he was telling me when he got into politics was because when he went to purchase his home, they were looking at 2 areas. And to your point, Mrs. Williams, one area, they didn't even have running water. And he was like, how can people live over here without running water? And they're selling homes on the other side of, I guess, Fifth Avenue, and with plumbing, full plumbing. And that was his mantra. He was going to fight to make sure that all people in Alachua County was able to live the where some people were able to live. And shout out to Mr. Ed Jennings Sr. That's exactly what he did.
Great.
And it's great to hear you all share these stories, because this is what we have to give and share to the next generation. Miss Williams?
I agree. I do want the next generation to know, and I call them all my young people. And they help me with language, because I'm learning again to speak Spanish. And wherever I travel in the world, I go where people are from that area and say, okay, teach me a greeting. At least teach me a greeting. The deal is, when I go to the countries and I give a greeting, then they start speaking to me in the rest in their language, thinking I know some of it, that's as much as I know. But no, I try to learn and I try to teach, because I can learn from them and they can learn from me.
Yes.
I can teach them and they can teach me, and together we have something to share. We have a lot to share. And let me say to you, if we don't do it with our young people, the streets will do it. They do a very good job of teaching, and they draw them out, and it's hard for us to bring them back because they are still Black. And if you're Black and you make a mistake, it's on your report card for the rest of your life, and they use it against you. And so I work with them early in life. I got one young boy, I started working with him at age 4, and he's going to be a surgeon. And he still has his sign where he was standing up, going into preschool. What are you going to be? A doctor. Yes, he has his bag. He has his shirt with the red cross on it. He has his Band-Aids. He has his whatever it takes to get into his head. And I'm saying, I need to do that. You need to do that. I'm just asking each of us to take one, because they are getting them. And I want you to do me a favor. Look around and see, wherever you are, it doesn't matter, wherever you are, look around and see how many African Americans you see working. I do not see them. I'm out here in Bland City. I'm just saying, they have allowed the Mexicans to come in from out of the fields, and they have replaced Black people working on the streets. They have replaced Black people busing. They have replaced bussing the tables. They have replaced Black people cooking in the back. I'm just saying, I don't see the Black people. People who look at me, I look like me, I don't see them. And I thought, maybe I'm looking in the wrong places. I don't even see them in the fields anymore. Help me out. And I'm just saying, whatever influence that we can give to get these people hired and get them processed so that they can be on time and that they can work with a smile, they can learn to talk. You know, there are so many avenues that we need to approach so that we can intersect with success, not only for ourselves, but for others.
Ooh, I can see her sayings coming in a book too. Well, this is what I want to do. Each one reach one, each one teach one. I mean, that's just kind of been, my mom has just taught me to always be a help to others. And it's second nature. So today I invite as my guest for the BWBOEE, ladies, if your schedule is free, Miss Williams is one of our guest speakers, as our president, Ingrid Daniels, alluded to earlier, along with State Representative Fentress Driscoll. On next Friday, not this Friday, a week from Friday, will be the luncheon without the food. It will be a mind-blowing event. So Diva J, if your schedule permits, I would love for you to be my guest. Miss Mache, same to you. I have a virtual table and I would love to have the two of you so that you can hear more about what Miss Williams has to say. And as I said to you earlier, we are going to give you your full show. Now that we know how to connect with the new Zoom authentication features, I hope you guys can join us back. There are 5 Wednesdays in this month. We usually do a show on the go, where we will be on the go with the two of you. I just feel in my spirit that you have so much more to offer to us, so much more to tell us. And we have to continue to create a platform that allows the two of you to teach and to share. And I'm listening to each of you talk. You guys are kindred, I'm telling you. Yvonne McShay, your daughter is an attorney, and I'm sure you heard Miss Williams talk about her dual career, pharmacist and attorney. It's incredible to hear how you all were able to do it. So we've got to hear, again, the conversations at the dinner table, how you were able to do the same for your children. And here you are now helping to raise another generation. I'm going to let Ingrid.
If I may say something.
Yes.
I accept the invitation to your table.
Thank you.
Believe it or not, Fentress is Fitchers has many stories about the time she spent in my home on the floor reading books.
Oh yeah,
She and my
Lakeland girl.
daughter were very good friends. Yes, yes. And I love to hear Mrs. Williams speak. So
Well,
I accept the invitation to your table.
awesome.
Yes.
Well, Miss Williams will already be there. And yes, and only God could have created this whole dynamic of this show to put the two of you together with so many kindred features that you're going to be sharing with us. And you're absolutely right. Fentress is
Phenomenal,
a
isn't
Lakeland
she?
girl.
Yeah, she's the Lakeland girl.
She
I can
is
visualize
indeed.
her right now, but on the floor reading a book.
Well, she will be right there. She will be right there. See what you've done to those young minds that you still continue to do today. Diva J?
I just want to say I'm excited. I'll certainly check my schedule, make sure work doesn't conflict, but you know, I'll multitask as I always do. It's been a pleasure. I mean, I might even reach out to you all individually if it's okay after this meeting, because there are some things, Ms. Williams, there are some advocacy things that I want to take a lead on and want to be smart about doing so. And Ms. Yvonne, we're just getting started with some of your books. I hear you have some branding and marketing needs, so I certainly want to see how I can be of assistance there. And so thank you all for taking the time to join us today. But as Ms. Cusso said, I believe this is only the beginning because both of you are jewels, and we need to really, really appreciate and understand your story.
It is. And we've got to hear their stories because Yvonne McShay is responsible for, she has a library in her home. We already know Ms. Williams has a library in her home, but she was also responsible for getting a library in the city of Lakeland. So those are the other nuggets that we need to hear them share with us about that help to empower us to say, yes, I will go and continue to work. We're not retiring. We're just going to continue to make differences and be impactful in people's lives. Final thoughts, Miss Ingrid Daniels?
I just want to say that this has been a divine appointment, most certainly. And so to you, Professor McShay, and to you, Attorney Williams, it goes without saying, you're two phenomenal women, and I appreciate the opportunity to know you at this point, because, you know, we're BFFs now. And, and I appreciate the opportunity to know such great women, and I'm looking forward to going forward with you. I know we're going to have you back, Cheryl's going to have you back, and we're going to have Attorney Williams as one of our speakers for the BWBOEE event. And now, Professor McShay, I understand you'll be attending. So I'll just see you all really soon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Well, I want to hear final words from Ms. Williams, and we'll come back to you, Ms. Cheryl, and then I'll come back and end the show. Ms. Williams, final words to part 2.
Okay. I am just delighted that I can share with you and learn from you. I want you to know that I have always reached out to children because they are coming along. I find it more challenging to deal with and change adults. I try to help to nurture and mold young people. So in Tallahassee, when I was first lady at the university and president of the lawyers there, the Black lawyers, I asked them to let me adopt 20 Black boys. And I adopted these boys who were in 8th grade because they needed a bridge to carry them over to high school, which is 9th grade. And I had read in the magazine that comes out on Sunday, in the newspaper, that a Black boy in Tallahassee had been carried across by a white coach. And I said, that won't, good, thank you very much, but we need to do better. And so they let me do that, and I used the ROTC cadets at Florida A&M University to help me carry those boys safely across to 9th grade. When I went to South Africa, I chose not to attend church in downtown. It didn't really nice here. I went to Soweto, the biggest dump there is in Africa, and there's some dumps in Africa. But at the AME church there, I worked with the children and went to the white people who had all the money and the resources they had taken from the Black people's land. I went straight to them and said, just that, all right, I need your help. And they said, okay. So for the 5 years that I was there, I worked with those children and their parents. I was not babysitting, and carried them across. And then when I came back to Tampa, to Ybor City, I'm from the bottom in Ybor City. And so the children who invited me out in the street to play Foursquare, I said, no, we got to do better than this. Rode around, found city-owned property, told the mayor we need to put in a playground, and I have the playground put in there in East Ybor. So, you know, I'm always finding a way to work, especially with children. I am embraced by them and I embrace them. So work with me in that regard, because if we don't, we're in big time trouble. It isn't about me. It is about him and his. And so he directs me, and where he leads me, I will go.
All right. Thank you. Ms. McShay?
Well. That's a deep subject. My closing comments, what I would want for lead with young people would be, and I'm going to talk about some of those now. They're very similar to hers. Number one, I want students to start reading. Yes. Our children don't read the way they should, you know, and it's okay to have a telephone. It's okay to have a laptop, but they need to read. There's so many young men writing books now that are telling their stories, and we need to be informed about men who wrote stories long ago, like James Baldwin, the history and how he was prophetic and what he was saying. I think everyone can relate to it today. I think parents should get more involved. There are so many opportunities out there. For an example, I don't necessarily believe in AP courses, because in AP courses, they must pass that final exam test. If they don't pass the test, they don't get credit. So what I would advise people to do is to go early admission. So if they make a C in the class, they've passed. It's a C. They've passed the course, you know. But if you make less than a 3 on that AP test, you don't pass the course. Also, early, I would encourage more students to take that opportunity to attend, and parents need to be involved, charter school, collegiate high schools, colleges that has a high school on their campus. They can go to those schools free. No tuition, no books, and they attend the same classes as the college students.
All right.
They can transfer to let's say I was at a Polk State College, which was a 2-year school for some programs and 4-year for others. They could transfer, those 2-year students could transfer to University of South Florida with a 2-year degree. Right. Their parent only has to pay for 2 years. Many of them graduate with a high GPA. So that means they get a scholarship, which means they don't have to worry about all those student loans. So there are avenues that we can take if we are aware of what's out there for us. And we have to continue to work with our young people and do it any way necessary. You know, community forums, lectures at the library or in your private homes. I do it anywhere I can find a spot to do it, to educate others and to encourage others. And I have a lot of faith in our young people, because that's all we got. That's all we got, and they're the best. So we will begin to research some of the new careers that are coming out and encourage students to take that route. And when they finish, a job will be waiting for them.
All right, I love that. And on that note, I love that. We will continue the conversation with Ms. Williams and Ms. McShay with part 2. You'll hear more about it. We thank you for your service, for what you continue to do and you're still doing today. Ladies, this show is a wrap.